Hello friends. About 99% of friends who watch my videos are not subscribed, and I would be very happy if you did. Also, don't forget to press the like button and leave your comments. Your interaction makes the content reach everyone and helps the channel grow. Also, let me know in the comments from which country you are watching the video. Alright buddy, before I dive into this, let me just say, if you're the type that scares easy, maybe skip this one. I ain't joking. I've been driving trucks for over 20 years now. Seen just about everything you could imagine out there on these endless highways. You name it, wild weather, sketchy folks, even seen a tornado dance across I-70, like it was playing tag with the devil himself. But none of it prepared me for the things I'm about to tell you. What happened to me on that stretch of highway out west, it still keeps me up at night. You ever been so scared that your hands go numb on the steering wheel, your mouth's dry as sandpaper, and every damn instinct in your body's screaming at you to turn around? Yeah, that's exactly how I felt that night. It all started late one evening, middle of November. Skies were bruised with thick clouds rolling in, and the wind was already howling like a pack of wolves. I had a load of auto parts heading down to a warehouse near Reno, Nevada. Route was simple, straight shot mostly, but there's this one stretch. A 40-mile chunk of highway folks out here whisper about. Locals call it the Devil's Backbone. Not marked on any official maps like that, but every driver who's been through there knows the name. The stories? Endless. Trucks disappearing. Lights flickering, radio stations blaring static, or voices whispering in languages no one understands. Some say it's cursed land. Others reckon there's something older out there. Something that don't take kindly to folks passing through. I used to laugh at all that. Ghost stories to keep rookie drivers awake at the wheel. That was until that night. I was 20 miles in, tires humming over cracked asphalt, when the CB radio let out this god-awful screech, like metal scrapping bone, and then dead silence. I flicked through the channels. Nothing. Not a soul out there. No chatter. No trucker banter. Just a suffocating silence that felt heavier than the rig I was hauling. Then the fog rolled in. Thick, unnatural, like someone dropped a curtain over the world. My high beams barely cut through it. Couldn't see more than 10 feet ahead. And right then, swear on my mother's grave, something darted across the road. Fast. Too fast for anything normal. Tall, lanky, arms too long for its body. Pale. Skin stretched tight over bones. I slammed the brakes so hard the rig fishtailed. Heart was jackhammering in my chest. And when I looked in my side mirror, there it was, standing dead center in the road behind me, grinning. Its eyes. Buddy, its eyes glowed like embers. And just as quick it was gone. But that was only the start. I sat there frozen, knuckles white on the wheel, breathing like I just ran a damn marathon. My engine was still humming, but everything else was dead quiet. No wind, no animal sounds, not even the usual groan of my trailer settling. Just silence. I tried convincing myself maybe it was some kind of deer, or maybe my eyes playing tricks in the fog. But deep down, nah. Deep down, I knew better. That thing wasn't from this world. I eased my foot off the brake, nudged the throttle, and started, crawling forward. My headlights caught nothing but that suffocating wall of fog. I flipped on the CB again. Breaker. Breaker. Anyone out there? Just static. Just static. Then, no lie, a whisper crackled through the speaker. Turn back, clear as day. Male voice, low, drawn out like it was dragging its words through mud. Gave me chills right down my spine. I grabbed the mic. Who is this? You messin' with me, man? Silence. Followed by that same ear-splitting screech. Then it all went dead again. That's when the smell hit me. Rotten, like wet dog mixed with roadkill left out in the sun. It seeped through the vents like the fog itself was alive. I gagged, rolled down the window, hoping for fresh air, but it was worse outside. Felt like the fog was breathing, moving, wrapping itself around the cab, tighter and tighter. Suddenly, the dashboard lights flickered. My gauges went haywire speedometer, jumping from 0 to 90. RPM needle spinning like a top. And buddy, let me tell you, my rig ain't never done that before. Then, bam! Something slammed into the side of my trailer. Hard. The whole rig rocked to the right. I grabbed the wheel, wrestling to keep her steady. Checked the mirrors. Nothing. Just the endless white of that cursed fog. Another bang this time on the passenger side door. Metal groaning under the impact. I damn near jumped out of my skin. My heart was pounding so loud, I swear I could hear it echo inside the cab. I reached down, grabbed my flashlight from the console, and flicked it on. Shacking like a leaf, I pointed it toward the side window. And that's when I saw it again. Its face was right there, inches from the glass. Skin stretched so tight, it looked like old leather. Lips peeled back in a grin that didn't belong on anything alive. Rows of jagged teeth, eyes glowing like molten coals. And fingers long, crooked, sharp as knives tapping on the glass like it was trying to get my attention. I floored it, pedal to the metal. Tires spun for a split second before catching and lurching forward. Didn't care what was ahead, didn't care if the road curved, dipped, or vanished. I just needed out of there. As I sped through that fog, shadows shifted on both sides, shapes moving. Something running alongside me. Could hear claws skittering against asphalt. Something big. Something fast. But every time I glanced to the side, nothing. Just glimpses. A shape here. A flicker of movement there. And that smell, it never left. Only got worse, stronger. Like death itself was hitching a ride in my cab. I kept my foot buried in that pedal like my life depended on it. And truth be told, it probably did. The speedometer needle was buried past 70, then 80, pushing a rig this heavyway faster than any sane trucker would. But buddy, sanity was long gone by then. The fog wasn't letting up. If anything, it got thicker the faster I went. Felt like the world outside just disappeared. Like I wasn't on a highway anymore, but floating through some kind of void. Then came the whispering. Not through the CB this time. Nah. This was inside the cab. Clear. Close. Like someone was sitting right there in the passenger seat, whispering. In my ear. Couldn't make out the words. Just a constant low murmur. Like voices tangled together, speaking over each other in languages I ain't never heard in my life. I snapped my head to the side, half expecting to see someone sitting there, but the seat was empty. Or so I thought, till the condensation on the passenger side window started shifting. Letters, no joke. Something was drawing letters in the fogged-up glass from the inside. It spelled one word, stop. I about lost control right there. Swerved so hard. The tires screamed. Trailer fishtailed, nearly jackknifed, but by some miracle the first held it. Not a chance, I muttered, stomping harder on the gas. But the whispering turned into a growl. Deep, low, like something was crawling up out of the earth itself. And then, boom, every damn light in the cab died. Headlights, dashboard, everything. Pitch black. Only sound was the roar of the engine. And my own ragged breath. I hit the high beams, flicked every switch I could, but nothing. Nothing worked. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I saw him. Headlights in my rearview mirror. At first, relief washed over me. Another driver. Someone else out here. I grabbed the CB again. Breaker, breaker, breaker. Anyone back there? This is Ironclad. You got me? But the lights didn't answer. Didn't change speed. Just kept coming. Closer, brighter. Weird thing was, the lights weren't right. They were too far apart. Too high off the ground. Like whatever it was, it wasn't a truck. It was taller. Way taller. And those lights? They had this glow. Not like halogen. Not like LED. Nah. It was this sickly, greenish-yellow hue. Almost biological. Alive. And buddy, they weren't just coming fast. They were coming hungry. I gripped the wheel, glancing back and forth between the useless dash and the mirror, trying to make sense of what I was seeing. The lights got closer. Close enough that they filled the rear window. Close enough that I realized there was nothing connected to him. No grill, no hood, no windshield. Just lights. Floating, moving, hunting. I ain't never felt fear like that before, buddy. I've been through storms that could rip the skin off your bones. I've slid on black ice with 40 tons behind me, praying to every god I could think of. But this was different. This was primal. My gut was screaming louder than the engine, telling me that whatever was behind me wasn't just some ghost light or faulty reflection. It was something real. Something that wasn't meant to exist on this earth. I slammed the shifter down, trying to coax every ounce of speed out of that poor diesel. The engine screamed, turbo whistling so loud it sounded like a banshee-ridden shotgun. But no. Matter how fast I went, those lights stayed with me. Same distance, same unnatural glow. I could feel it breathing down my neck, and then it started flashing, not like blinkers, not like high beams. Nah. It was this weird strobe. Bright, dim, bright, dim. Almost like it was trying to mess with my head. My hands were trembling, but I couldn't stop staring in the mirror. And that's when the shape started to form. First, it was just the lights. Then something dark started to take shape between them. Not metal. Not anything solid I could explain. More like shadows. But thicker, denser, moving, shifting, almost like smoke, but with weight to it. The damn thing looked like it was pulling itself together out of the fog itself. And nutty, it was huge, way bigger than any truck I've ever seen, taller than an overpass, wider than both lanes. And then I noticed it wasn't driven, it wasn't rolling, it was floating. Hovering inches above the asphalt, leaving no tracks, no sound except this low, gut-churning hum that I could feel more than hear. My mind was screaming for answers, but nothing made sense. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, I saw the faces. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands, trapped in the dark mass of whatever that thing was, pressed against the surface. Like people trying to claw their way out of tar. Their mouths were open, like they were screaming, but no sound came out. Eyes wide, terrified, frozen. Some were missing parts. Faces half melted. Others looked fresh, too fresh. And Buddy, one of those faces, it looked like a driver I used to know. Old Hank. Fella went missing back in '09, driven this very stretch. Everyone figured he rolled off into a ravine or skipped town. But there he was, clear as day, staring right at me, mouth moving like he was trying to warn me, or maybe beg me. I don't know. I don't ever want to know what my hands were slick with. Sweat sliding on the wheel as I gripped it tighter than I ever had in my life. I couldn't look away from that rearview mirror. Couldn't take my eyes off Hank's face, twisted in terror, mouth moving silently, like he was screaming, but no sound made it through that mass of shadows. And then his eyes locked with mine, dead set, almost like he recognized me. And, Buddy, I swear to you, his lips formed one word clear as day. Run. My blood turned to ice. I jammed the throttle so hard the pedal damn near snapped. The rig lurched forward, engine roaring like it was about to blow, but I didn't care. I needed out, needed distance, needed daylight, needed something, anything to break whatever nightmare had its claws in me. But the road wasn't right anymore. Where there should have been asphalt and faded yellow lines, there was just black, not darkness like nighttime. Nah, this was void. Like the world itself had been erased past the reach of my headlights. The fog had peeled back just enough to show me that. Endless black on either side. No trees, no fences, no hills, just nothing. It felt like I was driven on a bridge to nowhere, suspended in a space that shouldn't exist. The hum from that thing behind me got louder, vibrated through my bones, through the rig, through my teeth. And suddenly, the trailer started feeling heavy, way heavier than it should have, like something was grabbing it, dragging it back. I peeked in the mirror and damn near choked on my own spit. Thick black tendrils were stretching out from that mass-long, smoky arms, writhen like snakes latching onto the back of my trailer. Every time I sped up, they tightened, wrapping around the axles, the frame, even the tires. I could hear the metal groaning, the bolts screaming under the strain. The engine was red linen, needles pinned to the max, but it was like hauling a mountain uphill. Come on, girl. Hold together. Hold together, I muttered, patting the dash like it could somehow fight this thing off. And then, bang. The trailer jolted, hard, felt like something yanked it sideways. The whole rig swerved, tires skidding, rubber burning. I gripped the wheel so hard my knuckles popped. Another yank, this one sharper. Felt like the rear wheels lifted clean off the ground for a second. I screamed, "Nitrogen monoxide!" No, not like this. And slammed the jake brake. The engine howled, gears grinding, fighting with everything it had. But that thing, it wasn't letting go. Out of the corner of my eye, the passenger side window started freezing. Frost creeping in from the edges, crawling toward the center like something breathing cold death into the cab. And then a handprint, clear as day, from the inside. I whipped my head to look and saw it a hand, pale and thin, with fingers way too long, pressing against the glass. Followed by another, then another, smudging the window, tapping, scratching. The whispering came back, louder now, closer, voices, layering over each other, some crying, some laughing, some screaming, and one just kept saying my name, over and over, in a voice that sounded just like my late father. Hearing my father's voice, his real voice, the one I ain't heard in over 15 years since we buried him, nearly made my heart stop cold. Son, son, pull over, stop fighting it, come home, come home. It whispered, smooth, soft, like how he used to talk when tucking me in as a kid. But it wasn't him. No damn way. I knew better. I knew that thing, whatever. It was digging into my memories, twisting, trying to lure me in. But buddy, it almost worked. I ain't proud to admit it, but for a split second, I loosened my foot on the pedal, just for a second. Just enough that the rig shuddered as the pull from behind grew stronger. Felt like I was being reeled in, like a fish on a hook. The frost spread faster across the windshield, crawling in spiderweb. Patterns, the whispers turned into screams, now full-on banshee wails from every corner of the cab. The radio, the vents, the damn dashboard, all of it vibrated with voices I shouldn't be hearing. Some yelling my name, some begging, some laughing. A sick, hollow laughing that didn't sound human. That's when the dashboard lights flickered. Not the normal green and amber glows. No, this time they flashed blood red. And the words on the speedometer morphed. Swear on my life they changed. Instead of numbers, it now read, turn back on one side and stay and die on the other. My gut twisted so hard, I thought I'd throw up right there in the seat, but something snapped in me. Fight or flight kicked in hard. And I ain't the type to lay down for nothing. I gritted my teeth, slammed both hands on the wheel, and yelled, not today, you ugly sons of... I yanked the wheel hard left, straight toward where the void seemed darkest. If this thing wanted me off the road, fine. Let's see if it could follow. Tires screamed, rubber burning, smoke pouring as the rig slid sideways. For a second, everything went weightless like time stopped. The trailer swung around, nearly jackknifing, but the momentum kept pushing forward. The moment the tires caught traction, I floored it. Off the road, straight into the black. And buddy, something wild happened. The second I left the highway, the tendrils snapped. Just snapped. The rig jolted forward like I just broke free of a tow line. And the thing, the shadow, the lights, the faces, it stopped. Couldn't follow. Hovered at the edge of the pavement like something was holding it back. It pulsed, shifted, like it was furious. The faces inside it wailed, mouths stretching wide, eyes glowing brighter. Then, in an instant, it started shrinking, imploding on itself. The lights flickered out, one by one, sucked into that void until there was nothing but silence. And then the fog was gone, like someone flipped a switch. Clear skies, stars above, full moon lighting up the scrub brush and dirt road I'd somehow barreled onto. The highway? Gone, completely, like it never existed. I sat there in stunned silence, engine rumbling beneath me, hands still trembling, so bad I could barely keep hold of the wheel. My breathing was ragged, chest tight like a vice was squeezing it. I glanced all around out the windshield, side mirrors, rear view, expecting that thing to come crawling back out of the shadows. But it didn't. Just open desert now. Dry scrub, jagged rocks, and miles of dirt road stretching into the distance. Under the glow of the moon, no fog, no voices, no nothing. But the strangest part? Buddy, the highway wasn't behind me anymore. I mean, gone. No cracked asphalt, no guardrails, no signs. No nothing. Just empty land where the Devil's Backbone Highway was supposed to be. My GPS? Blank. Screen frozen like it had given up. Not even a recalculating message. Just static, flickering like it was trying to connect to a signal that didn't exist. And the CB? Dead. No static, no hum. Just this eerie, hollow silence that made my skin crawl. I sat back, tried collecting myself, but that's when I noticed. The trailer felt lighter. Way lighter. My heart sank. Oh no. Don't tell me. I muttered, jumping out of the cab, boots hid in the dirt. I grabbed my flashlight, clicked it on, and ran to the back. And sure enough, the back doors were hanging wide open. Completely ripped off their hinges, like something had yanked them clean off. And the cargo? Gone. Every damn crate, every box, every pallet vanished. Not a scratch on the floor. No tire marks from thieves. No footprints. Just empty. My first instinct was someone jacked me, but then I looked closer at the edges of the torn doors. Buddy, they weren't cut. They weren't forced open with tools. The metal was melted, warped, bent in on itself, like someone pressed a blowtorch the size of a semi against it. And the weirdest thing? The metal was ice cold to the touch. Frost still clinging to the edges. I stepped back, shining the light all around. Number. Signs of life? No coyotes, no owls, no bugs. Dead silent. Felt like the earth itself was holding its breath. I turned in a slow circle, stomach twisting. Then, I saw it. About 50 yards away, half buried in the dirt, an old road sign. Rusted, bent, faded letters barely legible in the moonlight. I brushed the dirt off, squinting. And Buddy, my blood ran cold. It read, U.S. Route 77 closed since 1965 bridge collapse, do not enter. What the hell? Route 77? I wasn't anywhere near Route 77. That highway collapsed decades ago. I'd read about it. Whole bridge went down. Took 5 vehicles with it. No survivors. Place was condemned ever since. I spun back toward the rig, heart jackhammering. No, 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 no. I whispered. Either I'd crossed into some place. I wasn't meant to be, or something had pulled me here. And Buddy? The night wasn't done with me yet. I stumbled backward, shining my flashlight over that broken, rusted sign like maybe, just maybe, I was seeing it wrong. But nope, clear as day, even with the faded paint and years of decay. U.S. Route 77 closed since 1965. How in the hell was I standing on a road that hadn't existed for over 60 years? My rig shouldn't even be here. This wasn't on my route, wasn't anywhere near my GPS path. Hell, this wasn't anywhere on any modern map. My hands were shaking, so bad I nearly dropped the flashlight. I turned back to the truck, trying to breathe, trying to think, but then I heard it. A voice, faint, far off. A woman's voice, echoing through the still night, soft at first, almost a whisper. Help, please, help me. I spun. Around, light darting across the barren scrub. Who's there? I shouted, voice cracking worse than I wanted to admit. No answer. Just that same whisper, floating through the air. Help. He's coming. He's coming. My skin crawled so bad, it felt like ants were beneath it. Logic was screaming at me to get back in the cab, lock the doors, and drive until the sun came up. But curiosity, that stubborn curse, that gets truckers into messes all the time, had me moving toward the voice. My boots crunched over dry dirt, flashlight bouncing from rock to rock. And then I saw her, standing just beyond a cluster of dead mesquite trees. A figure, woman, pale, thin, dress hanging off her like it was made of spiderwebs. Hair long, stringy, blowing in a wind I couldn't feel. Her head was tilted down, face hidden behind that curtain of hair. And Buddy, there was something wrong with her, real wrong. Her feet weren't touching the ground, just floating a few inches above it, swaying like a damn pendulum. Mom, you okay? I called, every instinct screaming at me to back the hell away. She didn't answer, didn't move. Just that soft voice, like it wasn't coming from her mouth, but from all around me. He's coming, he's almost here, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be here. I took one step back, then another, flashlight trembling in my hand. And that's when she snapped her head up. Buddy, I ain't never seen anything like that before, or since. Her face wasn't a face, not anymore. Skin was stretched, torn, eyes hollowed out with empty sockets weeping black sludge that dripped down her cheeks. Her mouth, Buddy, her mouth. Stretched way too wide, jaw cracked, broken, hanging sideways, and inside, rows of teeth. Not human teeth, jagged, crooked, spiraling inward like a saw blade. And then she screamed, high-pitched, piercing, the kind of scream that rattles your bones and makes your vision go white at the edges. My ears felt like they were gonna explode. I stumbled backward, fell flat on my back, gasping as that scream tore through the night. And right then, the ground started shacking, not like a quake. This was rhythmic, heavy, thump, thump, thump. Something was coming, something massive, something that made the earth tremble with every step. And the worst part? The woman stopped, screaming, looked straight at me, and whispered one last thing. "It's too late. He's here." My heart damn near stopped cold. That thundering, those heavy, earth-shaking thuds, they were getting closer. I scrambled back to my feet, nearly tripping over my own boots, flashlight jerking wildly as I scanned the dark. The woman, or whatever the hell that thing was gone. Vanished, like she'd never been there at all. But her voice, it still echoed in my head. "It's too late. He's here." I whipped around, eyes darting to the horizon. And that's when I saw it. Something moving through the trees, or what was left of them. The tops of the mesquites were swaying, snapping, breaking, like matchsticks under the weight of something huge. My flashlight caught glimpses between the gap's legs. Massive, pale, hairless, knees bent backwards like some twisted animal. But it was walking upright. Each step sent dust clouds shooting up, rattled the frame of my rig from 50 yards away, and then its face came into view. Lord help me. I can still see it when I close my eyes. It was like looking at something that was never meant for human eyes. A head too big for its frame, stretching long and narrow, skin pulled, tight over bone, thin enough I could see the veins beneath. Its eyes, buddy, its eyes weren't right. They were vertical slits, glowing this sickly yellow-green, and they blinked sideways, not up and down. But the mouth, that's what haunts me. It wasn't a mouth. It was a hole. A massive, gaping hole that spiraled inward like a vortex, lined with rows of jagged, broken teeth that spun slowly, grinding like some demonic meat grinder. And from that hole came a sound, not a roar, not a growl, but a deep, rattling moan, like the wind being sucked through a grave. I stumbled backward, breath catching in my throat, feet kicking up dust as panic surged through me. I bolted, back toward the rig, didn't look back, didn't dare. My boots pounded the dirt so hard it felt like I was running through molasses, legs barely working right, like the air itself was getting thicker, heavier, trying to slow me down. Behind me, the thuds picked up, faster, closer, and then the ground shook so hard I nearly face-planted. Something crashed into the dirt just feet behind me. I could feel it, the pressure, the vibration, the weight of something way bigger than anything that should exist. I threw myself up the side steps, yanked open the driver's side door, and dove inside. Slapped the keys, flipped every switch I could, screaming, "Come on, baby. Come on, go, go, go." The engine sputtered once, twice, then roared to life, like it knew my life was hanging in the balance. I slammed it into gear and floored it, dirt and rocks kicking up behind me as I tore off down that makeshift road, head snapping back from the force. In the mirrors, I caught a glimpse, just a glimpse. That thing was standing in the middle of the road, staring after me, head cocked sideways, mouth hollow spiraling, teeth grinding. And then it started chassing. And buddy, it was fast. Way faster than something that size should ever be. I mashed that pedal so hard, my foot felt like it was going to snap right through the floorboard. The engine screamed louder than it ever had before, turbo whistling like it was begging for mercy, but I wasn't letting up. Not for a second. The wheels tore through the dirt, kicking up a storm of dust and rocks as I fought to keep the rig steady on that busted old road. My hands were trembling, gripping the wheel like it was the only thing tethering me to this world. But in the mirrors, buddy, that thing was gaining. It didn't run like a man, or even an animal. No, it galloped, limbs snapping and twisting backward, joints bending all wrong, long arms swinging low enough to scrape the ground with claws that looked like railroad spikes. Every time it planted a foot, the earth shuddered. The damn spiral mouth opened, wider, and this awful howling started pouring out. It wasn't a scream. It wasn't a roar. It was like hundreds of voices. Crying, pleading, screaming, all tangled together. Some yelling for help. Others laughing in this twisted, hollow way that made my skin crawl worse than anything I've ever felt. Nope, not today. I gritted through clenched teeth, yanking the wheel to avoid a boulder that shot out of nowhere. But the road, buddy, it was disappearing. Every few hundred feet, parts of it would just vanish, like chunks were being erased from reality itself. 1 second there'd be dirt and gravel beneath me, next second it was nothing but pitch-black void, like the road was hovering over some bottomless pit. And every time I hit one of those patches, the rig would lurch, wheels losing grip, trailer fishtailing wild, like it was on ice. But somehow I stayed moving. That thing behind me, though it wasn't slowing down, not even a little. Worse yet, it was getting closer. I glanced in the mirror, and buddy, I swear on everything holy, I saw something else climbing. Out of that spiral mouth. Arms, hands, pale, thin, twitching, grasping, like something was trying to crawl out, or maybe get thrown out. And then I saw faces, just like the ones in that black mass on the highway, pressed against whatever. Invisible membrane was holding them back, their mouths open wide in terror. One of them looked like me. I ain't lying. Same beard, same hat, same damn flannel shirt I was wearing. I stared so long in shock, I nearly drove straight into a sinkhole where the road had collapsed. Yanked the wheel last second, tires screeching as I bounced over rocks. Trailer slamming side to side like it was about to rip free. The rig groaned, metal popping, axles screaming. But I didn't care. Didn't have time. I could feel that thing's breath, if you could call it that, this wet, rotten, ice-cold wind that blasted through the back of the cab, freezing the hair on my neck straight up. My ears popped like I was driven down a mountain. Pressure shifting. Air getting heavy, like reality itself was warping. And then, up ahead, lights. Real lights, yellow, warm, like a gas station or way station glowing, out in the distance. Salvation. Maybe. If I could make it. I locked my eyes on those lights like they were the gates of heaven itself. Didn't matter what it was, a gas station, a diner, a shack, hell, even a damn mirage, I was going straight for it. Behind me, that thing let out this ungodly screech, a sound that rattled the glass in the cab and sent shivers crawling down every inch of my spine. I gritted my teeth, knuckles white on the wheel, muttering, "Come on, baby, hold together, as I floored it even harder. The rig bounced over every dip, pothole, and rock, tires barely holding on, trailer whipping side to side like it was trying to break free. The closer I got to those lights, the more the air started changing. The cold, damp, death-soaked chill that clung to me started to lift, bit by bit, like whatever nightmare realm I'd driven into didn't extend that far. But that thing, oh, buddy, it knew. It knew I was trying to get away. Its pace picked, up limbs flailing, elbows bending the wrong way, claws digging deep into the dirt, tearing up the earth like it was paper. I could hear it now right behind me. That spiraling mouth was grinding, churning, like it was ready to swallow the whole damn truck. I could feel the heat from its breath, wet, sour, rot-filled, blasting against the back of the cab like a furnace from hell. But then the road shifted. Gravel turned to asphalt. The void was gone. Just gone. One blink it was there. The next, solid ground, yellow lines, reflectors, the works. And those lights? They weren't a mirage. It was a gas station. An old one. Beat up. Neon sign flickering saying, Sam's Fuel and Service, like it hadn't been touched since the 70s. But buddy, right then, it looked like the most beautiful place on earth. I slammed the wheel, pulled hard into the lot, engine screaming, brakes hissing like a nest of angry snakes as I skidded sideways into a stop. Tires locked. Dust cloud exploded around me. I was already throwing open the door, scrambling out, shouting, "Somebody help me! Somebody please help me!" But not a soul. Place was empty. Pumps rusted. Windows busted. Neon barely hanging. On by a thread. I spun around, expecting to see that thing barreling into the lot after me. But nothing. The road behind me? Empty. Silent. Clear. That thing was just gone, like it never existed. I stood there, chest heaving, hands shaking, knees damn near buckling beneath me. Looked back down the highway, blinking, half expecting it to come storming out of the dark. But all I saw was the empty road stretching back into the night. Stars above, crickets chirping, like normal, like none of it ever happened. But I knew better. I knew damn well it did. 'Cause when I turned back toward the station, there was something waiting. Right there, sitting on the ground beneath the busted sign. A single box, one of the cargo boxes from my trailer. Sitting there like somebody gently placed it down. The label read plain as day, "Property of Devil's Backbone, do not remove." My throat went dry as dust. I just stood there staring at that box, like it was a rattlesnake coiled and ready to strike. Every instinct in my bones was screaming, "Don't touch it. Don't go near it. Leave it and run." But curiosity? That damn trucker curiosity, that same stubborn streak that's gotten me into more trouble than I care to admit, had me tacking. Slow steps toward it. The box didn't look special. Just your standard wooden crate, about the size of a microwave, reinforced with metal bands. But it was old, real old. Wood-warped, faded markings scorched into the sides. That label, "Property of Devil's Backbone, do not remove," looked like it was carved in, not just stamped or painted. I crouched down, shining the flashlight over it, heart thumping so loud I could hear it in my ears. There were symbols along the edges. Strange ones. Circles. Triangles. Patterns that didn't make sense, like something ancient. Older than roads. Older than people. The kind of marks that make your skin crawl just looking at him. Then I heard it, from inside the box. A knock. Not loud. Not frantic. Just knock, knock, like something was waiting. I stumbled back, damn near fell on my backside, scrambling away from it. Nope, nope, hell no. I ain't doing this, I muttered, half laughing, half crying, nerves shot to pieces. But before I could bolt back to the rig, the air changed. The temperature dropped again. That suffocating chill settled right over the gas station, like a heavy blanket of ice. And then the neon sign flickered. Once, twice, then died. Whole. Station went pitch black. No wind, no sound, no crickets. Just silence. Until a voice, clear, crisp, right behind me, whispered straight into my ear, "You took something that wasn't yours." I spun around so fast, I nearly threw my shoulder out, flashlight swinging, hands shacking. But nothing, nobody, just empty pumps, busted windows, shadows stretching way longer than they should have under the glow of the moon. No, I didn't. I didn't take nothing. I stammered, backing toward the rig, but the voice came again. "It follows. You belong to the road now." My legs damn near gave out. I yanked open the door, threw myself back into the cab, and fired her up. Engine roared to life like she was scared too. I slammed it into gear, tires skidding as I pulled out of that lot faster than I've ever left anywhere in my life. Mirrors? I didn't look. Not once. Didn't care what was behind me anymore. I drove, and I drove, and I drove. Hours, miles. Didn't even know where. Just kept the pedal down until the first streaks of dawn started crawling over the horizon. Only then did I finally dare to glance at the rear view. Nothing. Empty road. Empty sky. Normal. As if nothing had ever happened. But, buddy, when I glanced down at the passenger seat, that box, that same damn box, was sitting right there. Clean. Perfect. Like it had been there the whole time. A new label now carved into the top. Delivery incomplete. Destination pending. My stomach twisted so hard, it felt like it was trying to crawl up my throat. I slammed the brakes, rig shuddering, tires screeching as dust clouded up around me. The engine hissed, trailer groaned, but I didn't care. I just sat there, staring at that box like it was a live grenade ready to go off any second. Delivery incomplete. Destination pending. I could barely breathe. My fingers trembled on the wheel, heart jackhammering so hard it made my vision blur. Nope. No, no, no. Hell no, I muttered, shacking my head, fighting the urge to fling open the door and run straight into the desert. But run where? Away from what? 'Cause, buddy, let me tell you something. When something like this wants to find you, it don't matter where you go. I glanced at the box again, hands clenching so tight around the wheel, I thought my knuckles would bust through the skin. That it hit me, a sound, faint at first, like breathing, from inside. Slow, raspy, wet, then scratch. Scratch, claws, nails, something, scratching from the inside of that box. I threw it in gear, pedal down, wheels screaming as I shot back onto the highway. Didn't know where I was going. Didn't care. Just wanted miles between me and that cursed place. But the further I drove, the worse it got. The air grew heavy again. Radio started flickering dead, static interrupted by voices whispering my name, soft, hollow, like wind blowing through bone. GPS glitched out screen flashing symbols that didn't make sense, directions that spun me in circles. And the road, buddy, the road started changing. The yellow lines faded. Pavement cracked, crumbled like it hadn't been maintained in decades. The trees grew sparse, then disappeared altogether. Nothing but empty dirt on either side. Just me. My rig. And that box. I risked a glance at it, big mistake, 'cause now the lid was moving, just barely, inch by inch, like something was lifting it from the inside. My breath caught in my throat. No, no, no. Stay closed, stay closed. I begged, under my breath, slamming the wheel like that'd somehow help. But it didn't. The lid slid another inch, then another. And that smell, oh God, buddy, that smell. Rot, mold, wet earth, death. Like 100 graves had been dug open all at once. My eyes burned, watering, throat gagging. I flicked the radio off, didn't help. Whispering got louder, crawling right up under my skin. You were warned. You belong to the road. The voices hissed in unison, layered over each other, some high, some low, some so deep it rattled my chest. And then the lid popped, just enough for a hand. Pale, thin, fingers long as knives, skin stretched so tight over the bones it looked ready to tear. Fingernails black, cracked, curling. It gripped the edge of the box and started pooling. My vision blurred. I stomped the pedal harder, swerving, cussing, praying every prayer I ever knew. But buddy, deep down, I knew this wasn't a delivery I could outrun. I was hauling harder than I ever had in my life, Buddy, engine screaming like it was begging for mercy, tires melting against the pavement, but that cursed damn box, it wasn't staying shut no more. That pale hand gripped the edge, trembling, twitching, knuckles popping like dry sticks as it pulled. And then another hand joined it. Long, skeletal, fingers way too many joints, bending backwards in ways no living things should. The lid creaked, inching higher, slow, deliberate. And then, from that gap, something else slid out. Buddy, it was a face. Sorta. Not a full face, just the pieces of one. A sunken eye. Part of a jaw hung in sideways. Skin stretched thin over broken bone. Lips peeled back in this permanent grin that showed teeth filed down to jagged stumps. And it was staring straight at me. No blink, no breath. Just that hollow, dead gaze locked on mine. My hands clamped. The wheel so tight, I could feel the tendons screaming under the skin. No, no. You stay in that box. You stay right. But before I could finish, the rig shuddered hard. Slammed like I'd hit something. Rear tires lifted just enough to make my stomach hit my throat. I looked in the mirrors. And Buddy. The road behind me was cracking, splitting wide open. Jagged lines tearing through the asphalt, like claws ripping through flesh. And from those cracks, something was climbing out, tall, thin, dozens of them, pale arms, blank faces, no mouths, no eyes, just skin stretched over empty sockets, crawling, stumbling, reaching toward my trailer like they were drawn to it. Drawn to me. My pulse was screaming. My mind was begging for this to be some twisted nightmare. But Buddy, it was all too damn real. And that voice came again, whispering, humming, crawling right under my skin. You open the road? You carry the weight? The delivery must be made. I slammed the radio off, yanked the GPS plug. Didn't matter. The dashboard lights flickered, flashing red fuel empty, oil pressure 0. Check engine. Every warning light screaming at once, but I knew the tank was full. I just filled it. This wasn't mechanical failure. This was something else. Something wrong. I gritted my teeth, shouting, "Come on, girl. Hold together, we ain't done yet," and stomped the pedal so hard my boot damn near punched through the floor. The rig surged forward, engine coughing, sputtering, but still pooling. Somehow. But the road, Buddy, the road was gone. Just vanished. 1 second it was there. The next, all that stretched out ahead was void, blacker than night, deeper than space, an endless drop into nothing. I had two choices. Slam the brakes and let whatever was coming behind me catch up, or floor it and take my chances jumping into the abyss. And Buddy, you probably already guessed what I did. I gritted my teeth, jammed the pedal flat, and roared straight into the void. The second those front tires crossed the edge, it felt like gravity itself just quit. The whole rig lift weightless, like I'd hit free fall off a cliff. Engine screaming, RPMs redlining, tires spinning. Against nothing. No road, no ground. Just black, endless, swallowing me whole. My stomach shot into my throat, heart beating so loud it sounded like it was inside my ears. For a split second, it felt like time stretched like the whole world hit pause. Then I was falling, faster, faster. Wind howling past the cab, rattling. The mirrors whipping through every crack in the windows. The box, that damn box, slid off the seat, slamming into the passenger side door. The lid blew wide open mid-fall, flinging splinters of wood into the cab like shrapnel. And from inside, something poured out. Buddy, I wish I could say it was something I could explain. Shapes, shadows, faces, arms, screaming, crying, whispering, all spillin' into the cab, like smoke with weight like livin' shadows with fingers and mouths. One of them reached for me. Long fingers slid across my neck, ice cold, leaving this trail of frost that burned like fire. Another one pressed its hand against the windshield from the inside, leaving a greasy, smeared handprint as it stared at me with hollow, empty sockets where eyes should have been. You are the road? Now they hissed, voices. Layered, warped, blending into the roar of the wind as I kept fouling. An out-of-nowhere light. Not just any light. Headlights, dozens of them, below me, miles down. A highway. But not any highway I recognized. Twisted, broken, pieces floating in midair. Overpasses leading to nowhere. Exit ramps looping into themselves like some nightmare Mobius strip. And driven on it were trucks. Hundreds of them. Old, new, rusted, burned out. Some looking like rigs from the 60s, others from 10 years in the future. All hauling. All driven this endless loop through the void. I slammed the wheel, screaming, "Come on, girl, land, I to land, I to," as gravity finally caught me. Tires hit asphalt now. Whole rig jolted. Axles screeched. Sparks flew. Trailer slammed down behind me, nearly jackknifing, but somehow she held together. I gripped the wheel, gasped for breath, heart pounding, trying to take in where the hell I was. The road stretched forward twisting, broken in places, patched together like a Frankenstein highway from 100 different eras. Signs hung. Midair upside down, sidewise. Some flickered. Some were written in languages I didn't even recognize. And every single truck I passed, the drivers stared. But they weren't alive. Hollow faces, eyes black, mouths stitched shut, hands locked on the wheels like marionettes, forced to drive forever. Some rigs were burnt to the frame, but still rolling. Others were covered in moss, like they'd been driven since the dawn of time. And Buddy, when I looked in my mirror, that thing was still behind me, floating, crawling, growing, its spiral mouth grinding faster, throwing sparks of black light into the void. I knew right then I hadn't escaped. I hadn't outrun it. I'd delivered myself straight into its world. My chest tightened so bad it felt like a fist was squeezing my lungs. Hands clamped the wheel, white-knuckled, breathing sharp and ragged as I hauled down that twisted nightmare highway. The asphalt beneath me cracked and shifted like living skin. Sometimes it felt solid. Other times, the rig felt like it was ridden on nothing but thin air. The lines on the road, Buddy, they weren't lines anymore. They were symbols, spirals, eyes, teeth, twisting geometric shapes that pulsed, glowed, and shifted every time I blinked. The signs above weren't any better some flickering warnings like nitrogen monoxide exit, miles to oblivion, infinity, or all deliveries final. Others had faces, actual faces, stretched, twisted, mouths moving, whispering things I couldn't quite catch, but sure as hell didn't want to understand. I slammed the pedal, engine howling, trailer swinging like it was trying to break free. But no matter how fast I pushed, that thing behind me stayed right there, floating, crawling, spiral mouth grinding, black sparks flying out of it like embers from a bonfire built in hell itself. And those hands, pale, twitching, reaching out of that mouth like something was being pulled in or shoved out. But that ain't even the worst of it, Buddy. No, sir. The box. That cursed damn box was still sitting in the passenger seat. But now it wasn't wood. No, the thing had changed. Looked like bone now. Or maybe something worse. Flesh stretched over a frame, pulsing, throbbing, veins running through it, black as oil. And carved right into the lid, a new label. Next stop, you. My vision blurred. My hands trembled. I gritted my teeth, slamming the wheel. No, you ain't talking to me. You hear me? You ain't. But my scream cut off, 'cause the CB radio clicked on. Static buzzed. Then a voice, deep, hollow, mechanical, yet somehow familiar. It said, "Breaker, breaker, welcome to the long haul. Keep it rollin', you don't stop. Not ever, not anymore." My blood ran cold. I grabbed the mic instinctively, shouting, "Who the hell is this? What is this place?" The voice chuckled. "Deep, empty. You should have read the fine print, driver. You hauled the wrong load. Now you're part of it." Behind me, that thing let out another roar. No, not a roar. A sound like metal grinding against bone. Like 1,000 tires screeching at once. I glanced back and nearly lost my soul right then. 'Cause that spiral mouth, it was opening wider, much wider. Wide enough to swallow the whole damn road. And behind the teeth wasn't just black, wasn't just emptiness. No, there were roads, endless roads, twisting, turning, folding in on themselves like highways built inside a nightmare. And on those roads, more trucks, more drivers, all screaming, all crying, faces pressed to their windshields, mouths open in silent terror, hands gripping wheels they couldn't let go of. Buddy, they were trapped. They were part of it. Part of the mile eater. That's what it was. The thing behind me. The devourer of roads, of drivers, of souls. I stomped the pedal harder than ever. Teeth grit so tight, my jaw cracked. N.O. I ain't done. I ain't yours, I roared. But deep down I knew. The road wasn't going to let me go. The rig was screaming louder than I was. Engine rattling, turbo howling, dashboard lighting up like a damn Christmas. Tree check engine, ABS fail, low air, fuel empty, all flashing red, but I didn't care. I gripped that wheel tighter than I ever had in my life, knuckles white, arms shacking, muscles screaming as I fought to keep her steady on that twisted, broken stretch of highway that shouldn't exist. The road warped beneath me sometimes. Solid asphalt, sometimes just patches floating in the void, connecting by nothing but strands of light and shadow, like spider silk spun by something evil. And that box, oh buddy, that box was breathin'. No joke. I swear to you, it was breathin'. Rising, falling, veins throbbing, skin stretching. Every now and then it'd twitch, like something inside was trying to get out, or maybe trying to pull something in. And the label changed again. Right before my eyes, letters burned into it, black smoke hissing off the surface. Final destination. Driver. My stomach twisted into knots. My mouth went dry. But the worst part? The mirrors. Buddy, I made the mistake of glancing at M, and I wished to God I hadn't. The thing behind me, the mile eater, it wasn't just chassing anymore. It was gaining, fast. Its spiral mouth opened so wide, it looked like it was ready to swallow the whole damn horizon. Inside that mouth, roads, endless, folding, twisting, looping. And stuck on those roads were rigs, hundreds, maybe thousands, some rusted to the frame, some looking brand new. But every one of them had drivers behind the wheel, and those drivers weren't alive. Faces frozen in terror, mouths stretched in silent screams, eyes hollow, black, hands stuck to the wheel, forced to drive forever in circles that led nowhere. And I realized I knew some of them. Faces I'd seen at truck stops, guys who'd gone missing, names whispered in trucker bars. Vanish off the highway, never found. They weren't missing. They were here, trapped, part of it. My breath caught, my vision blurred. I slammed the pedal harder. Come on, girl. Hold together. Don't you quit on me now. But deep down, I felt it. This road, It wasn't part of our world. It was something else. Something ancient. Something hungry. Built to trap folks like me. Folks who took the wrong load. Folks who crossed the wrong line. CB crackled again. Same hollow voice. Same warped static. 10-4, driver. No brakes on this run. You don't stop. Ever. Keep it rollin'. Your freight now. I grabbed the mic, shouting, "No, you ain't talking to me. I ain't part of this." But the voice just laughed. Low. Hollow. Ain't your call. Ain't ever been. You picked up the box. Now the box owns you. And buddy, that's when the trailer started changing. I caught it in the mirror rear doors warpin', splittin', stretching wide open. And from inside came hands, dozens, pale, thin, twitchin', clawing, reaching out of the trailer, grabbing at the road, the air, each other, like the load itself was alive now. Like the freight was screamin' to get free. And then the worst part. One of those hands looked like mine. Same scars. Same busted knuckle from that time I punched the dashboard in Amarillo. Same freckle on the wrist. Buddy, I wasn't just hauling the load. I was the load. My throat locked up so tight I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Just stared at that pale, busted-up hand reaching out from the back of my own damn trailer, my hand. Same scar on the thumb from that wrench slipped back in '09. Same busted knuckle from breaking up that bar fight outside Tulsa. Same sunspot on the back of the wrist. I blinked, shacking my head so hard my hat damn near flew off. No nitrogen monoxide. Hell nitrogen monoxide. That ain't ME. I roared, slamming the wheel, mashing the pedal flat as the rig howled like it was dying. But the road, oh buddy, the road wasn't letting me go. The asphalt cracked open beneath me, giant fissures splitting wide, exposing not dirt, not rock, but empty black. A void that stretched down forever, with voices echoing up from it screaming, crying, begging, laughing, all at once, like a million souls trapped in a blender of hell. The mile eater behind me screeched, its spiral mouth grinding faster, pulling whole chunks of the highway into itself. Light poles, signs, dead trees. Even pieces of other trucks were getting yanked backwards, flipping through the air like paper. I could feel it, this pull, this pressure building behind me, dragging at the trailer, at the tires, even at my chest, like it was trying to yank my soul right through my ribcage. The box, that cursed, breathin', pulsin' box on the passenger seat, started vibrating, shacking so hard it nearly bounced off the cushion. Veins throbbing, skin stretching, and the label changed again. Freight confirmed, driver. And that's when the lid blew open bang like a shotgun blast. Something shot out of it. A black rope. No, not a rope. A tendril. A fleshy, pulsin', wet thing covered in teeth. Teeth. Tiny, jagged little teeth running along its whole length. It whipped through the cab, wrapping around my left wrist tight enough to make the bones pop, skin split, blood gush. I screamed, slamming the wheel, trying to yank free, but it was strong, unnaturally strong. The thing reeled itself in, dragging my arm toward the box, like it was trying to feed me into it. No, you ain't talking me. I screamed, punching at it with my free hand, but more tendrils whipped out, snapping through the air, one latching around my shoulder, another around my ankle. The cab filled with this smell-rotten meat, wet dirt, burnt rubber, blood. My vision started doubling, dashboard flickering, CB radio screaming, GPS spitting random numbers. The mirrors showed nothing but that spiral mouth growing, expanding, stretching wide enough now to swallow the whole damn horizon. And buddy, I could see what was inside it now. Roads, endless roads, stretching into eternity, crumbling, folding, twisting, And on those roads trucks, thousands of them. And drivers stuck, screaming. Driven forever, forced to haul. Loads they didn't choose, to destinations that didn't exist. For miles that never end. And right dead center of it all, a rig. Mine. Same paint. Same numbers. Same busted front grill from that deer I hit back in Nebraska. With me. Me. Sitting behind the wheel. Hollow-eyed. Skin pale. Mouth stretched open in a silent scream. Hands locked to the wheel. Knuckles gray. And Buddy. That version of me? It looked right at me. Grinned and whispered something I'll never forget. Welcome to the long haul.